What's up, people? Out for a smoke. It is Thursday. Somewhere around like 5:30 or something in the afternoon. Feeling tired. Almost took a nap and then debated and decided I'd roll up a joint and go for a walk instead. See if I could wake up. Look kind of dark that way. It never does on camera. Trust me. It's like dark in here with light shining through, like the bright sunspots you can see all coming through the trees. Much darker than it appears on the camera. So, thought maybe I'd try and add a little bit of context to some of the last couple videos I've uploaded, dealing with reality and whether you actually have any control over it and creating it, or maybe some influence over it, but it's really out of your control in the end. And I think the game of poker, cards in general, but for me it's poker, is a really good analogy to that, and a very good lesson too for life. Like, playing poker to me is a excellent lesson for learning patience and about life, and just the laws of chance and probability and using your own skill and what you have within your control and what's not within your control. Poker kind of exemplifies that. The game stresses all of those points and skills. Not to mention, it's called Hold'em, right? Like Hold'em poker, which if you've watched some of my other videos, you can see how that relates to the spirit in poker. Poker, jabber, babble, word, right? Your word is a promise. Promise is a bond. If you're stuck, you're bound. Hold'em, you know. There's a way more than that. Way more than that. And trust me, if you look at some of my other videos, you can see how deep that can really go. But everything about it, right? The fact that you sit in a circle, right? And we are all enclosed or bound in a circle, or time, right? Like, time is a circle. Midnight, it's midnight again every night at the same time, going in a full circle. It's going around in circles, right? And the way you got blinds, think about how people are blind, deaf and dumb. The small blind, the big blind. People, you got a guy under the gun, right? He has to be first to act, which is dangerous to be first to act. Most people want to wait and see how others react first, and then act after. It's a much easier decision to make. It's the hardest decision is to be the first one to act, right? Not knowing how others are going to respond after you. But there's a lot to the chance of it, to the strategy of that game. For example, one of the hardest things to overcome in poker, I'm talking if you're playing like professionally, like, which I did, low stakes, I mind you. I was nothing really to brag about. Me and my brother both played low stakes poker online professionally for a little over 2 years. We had no other job, no other income. That's the only money that we brought in. We played poker, and we played a lot of it online. I mean, a lot. Sometimes hundreds of games a day, you know, sit and goes, tournaments. I would multi-table them. I'd sit and play 6 to 8 of them at a time, just in tile the windows on my screen. But what you learn, and what's very important in poker and being successful at it, the biggest thing is not to tilt. And what that means in tilt in poker is to let it get to you, man. To get upset. You don't want to get upset. You have to stay level-headed. even when you make the right decision, but things don't go your way. You know what I mean? When you do everything perfect and you still lose, that it makes a lot of people tilt. They do. A lot of people will tilt. They'll fucking lose it when they make the right decision but lose anyway. And then it'll affect their play. Then they'll play bad, right? Then they'll not be playing optimal poker anymore. So that's the biggest thing in poker, is trying not to tilt. Trying not to play angry. So most good poker players, you'll see, like if you ever watch poker on TV or something, or watch, you know, when they have it like on ESPN or something like that, and like somebody gets knocked out of the tournament, and they'll be like, you know, like, I don't know, I was in the small blind, it was just me in the big blind, I raise, you know, I got jacks. He re-raised me all in and I call. Maybe the guy, you know, the big blind thought that you were trying to steal the blind because it was just you two, last two to act, right? So the big blind is maybe just raising most of the time. You're going all in because he thinks you're bluffing, and you can't call this, but you got a hand this time. You got jacks, and you call it, and you lose. You know, maybe you know, king 9 versus jack. You obviously had the better hand. Called the all in pre-flop. You made the right decision. Put the money in the table when your cards are ahead. Right? That's the point of the game. That's how you play. That's the strategy. Get the money in there when you're ahead. But a king, you know, so a king hits on the board, on the flop, the river, the turn or the river. That's, yeah, think about that too. The flop, the turn, right? The world, the turn, the river. It reminds me of Styx, kind of. But yeah. A good poker player will be happy about that decision. They will. They'll get see him in the interview. They might have just lost and gotten knocked out of a tournament that, you know, they've been playing for 2 or 3 days and dozens of hours of tournament playing work, all lost in one shot to somebody that, you know, made the wrong move, that thought you were bluffing and you weren't, and you caught them, but you lost. You know, they're happy about that. They will be. The only time they'll be upset with themselves is when they make the wrong call. You know what I mean? If the guy in the big blind had queen or king or something, or ace king, and even then, they're usually not upset with themselves, because mathematically, when there's only 3 hands that beat you, you can't assume that the other person has one of those 3 hands. And you're not going to win much poker assuming that every time. The odds of them having that are so low, and the times that they'll wake up with a hand like that are so low that you'd have to call. So there are different spots where people behave differently. You know what I mean? Where you can tell more likely that they might have one of those 3 hands ahead of you. Like when somebody calls an all-in after 2 all-ins called in front of him or something, and you got jacks, you might be able to lay them down there. One of them guys has probably got aces or kings, and you just can't, that they can't make the call of 2 all-ins in front of them, you know, like there are times. That's poker strategy. It's besides the point. The point is that in poker, it teaches you to get used to losing, even though you made the right decision. That's a huge part of the game, because you have to realize that as long as you keep making the decision, in the long term, you'll win over a larger sample size. But there's also an element of chance to that game, just like life. It's a game of skill, right? Poker is a game of skill that contains an element of chance. So it combines it. You can be skillful at poker. There are people that consistently win. There are tons of professional players that win consistently at the game. But they lose all the time. You know what I mean? But usually even when they lose, they made the right decision. They're losing to the chance. So as long as you keep doing the right thing enough times, say the jacks versus king 9, I don't know what the exact odds are, but you're probably like an 80% favorite or something. The guy pretty much has to hit a king. You know, he's got 3 cards in the deck that can beat you. Or maybe some combination of a straight where his 9 plays into it or something, or a flush, like a 1-card flush or something that you don't have. Like the odds, he's probably got very few things that can beat you, you know? Like you're like an 80% favorite, but 20% of the time you're going to lose. But you still want to do it. That's still the right decision. And if you do it enough times, I mean, obviously you're going to come ahead in the long run. There's always 80% means 8 times out of 10 you're going to win, right? 2 of them you're still going to lose, even though you made the right decision. And that's the chance. And there's no way around. And that's just like life, man, to me. It's like a perfect analogy. That's exactly how it is, man. To me, that's the control you have. Life is like a game of poker. There's a huge element of chance to it, but it's a game of skill. You can use skill to influence it, to win, but there's always still something left to chance, man. You can lose to a bad player that ain't even trying. You know what I mean? You can get aces and get your money all in pre-flop and get some idiot to somehow call you with 7-2 off suit or something, and the flop comes fucking 7-7-7. You know what I mean? Like, and it doesn't matter. You lose, but you want that to happen every time. You want to be in that situation as many times as you can, but you have to be able to take the losses. You got to be able to take the wins. You got to be able to take them with the wins. You know what I mean? The losses. You got to be able to look at them as wins when you technically did the right thing, but still lost. And to me, that's a good lesson for life, man. That's a really good way to approach life. You try something, man, you lose, you don't succeed, you try and it doesn't work. I mean, if you did it right, as long as you played the best game, right? As long as you did your best. As long as you did it optimally. If there's anything you could have done better, then, then that's what if you're going to do it again, hopefully you analyze that and improve it and you do it better next time. So you learn from it, So either you take something from it and learn from it, or you realize that maybe you did do it the best and there's nothing to learn, and you'll just keep doing that. And not to let it discourage you. And that's easier said than done. Because most people tilt, man. They do. I've played a lot of poker, like a lot. I used to play online like I said, for a living. I played it online for a few years. Full Tilt, that was the name of the site, Full Tilt. I played on PokerStars too, and maybe a couple others, but not as much. Full Tilt was the main. That was my bread and butter site. Like, that's where I like to play. Which, if you remember Full Tilt or played at Full Tilt, you're old school, because it got shut down a really long time ago. But it was fun. It was a good site and very popular. A ton of people playing. Poker was like in its heyday then. It was right when it started getting real popular, when they started showing all the World Series of Poker on ESPN and stuff, like when it kind of first started. It was like real trendy, mainstream kind of going. They were making video games for Nintendo and shit, like Poker Stars or World Champion Poker or whatever. It's what got me into it. It did. It was really popular. There were so many ads on TV and stuff for it, and I was watching the World Series of Poker on TV. I liked them. I was watching it and got into it. And when I was watching, I was thinking, I can do that. I don't know. For some reason, I thought right away, I'm like, I can do that. Like, I think I can play this game. Like, I understand this. I get this. And I was right. I'm decent at it. I don't know. Honestly, I quit playing after when Full Tilt got shut down, which was a long time ago. It was like 2014 or something, 2013. It's a long time ago. I mean, we're in 2024 now. It was like 10 years ago that I stopped playing. I barely played any since then. For some reason, I did play not very long ago. Like last year or so, about a year ago, maybe not even a year ago, within the last year maybe. I, for some reason, had the urge, and I installed PokerStars, and it was way different. It's actually legal in the U.S. now. Like, there's no gray area about it. Like, I can just legally play it, thankfully. But since we have weird gambling laws where I'm at in Pennsylvania, there's casinos and stuff here, and gambling's legal, but you only has to stay within PA. So if you go to PokerStars and play, you're actually locked into a a geographic lock for just other players from Pennsylvania. So it really limits it's not very busy, you know what I mean? There's not a whole lot it's just Pennsylvania, where it used to be the whole world that you could play with. Which I'm thinking most of the rest of the country gets to play with the whole world. It's like a Pennsylvania, maybe a few other states that do the same thing. It's just a state law, unfortunately. But I got on and played, man. Like I said, sometime within the last 10 months or 12 months or so, I hopped on there. I only played for like a week. I played like a dozen tournaments, you know what I mean? Like a multi-table tournament. You join and there's like 100 players or something in the tournament, or maybe 200 people. You all put in 10 bucks, 20 bucks or whatever, sign up. First top 3 usually kind of take all, top 4 or something, depends, whatever the payout structure is, you know. But yeah, I hopped on and I made the money, which is making it, you know, to pretty much to the final table. And most of the ones I played, I think, to get to the money. Maybe not all of them. Some of them might have paid the last 2 tables, you know, the last top 18 or something. But yeah, I think I pretty much made it into the final 9 in like 10 of them. Out of like, I probably played like 12 or 14 tournaments in a week or so. Yeah, played around a dozen of them, cashed in like 75-80% of them. I won one of them, and I took second, third, and fourth in a good amount of them, actually, that I made it to the money in, which is really good, man. Like, really, like, I don't know, I felt like there was luck on my side. Like, something felt like, I don't know, like, yeah, like, I felt like I was just running really, really good, getting really lucky. And sometimes you do. But, yeah, poker is kind of a fun game. It requires a lot of patience and discipline. And I think it's a really good analogy to a lot about life. It really is, man. Because life has, for sure, that element of skill and luck. You know, like, you got the skills and put your mind to something, man, and keep plugging away at it. You'll probably eventually win if you really are good at it. But you can definitely fail. You know what I mean? So you got to learn not to let those get to you. You got to learn to analyze if you failed because you played it wrong or you did it wrong. You know what I mean? If you need to learn and improve something, or if you did it right and it was just the luck of the draw. And yeah, I just see how that really relates to life, man. Because a lot of times things do get left up to chance. You know, you give it your best. You put it in your best, and the rest is left up to chance. And sometimes the cards fall your way. Sometimes they don't, right? But, I mean, you can't win if you don't play. You know what I mean? Simple as that. You can't lose either, but you also couldn't win. So, I mean, you could choose to sit on the side or jump in the game and play, I guess. You know? But, yeah. I think that's about all I got to say about that for now. I'm going to head back home. Hearing lots of banging. Heard something out there in the trees. All right, people, we're out of the woods. I think we will sign off.